We start with the category of availability, which is made up of reliability, which is the keep it up and running part, and recoverability, which is the how fast can you get it back up and running if it's failed part. As you can see in a moment, the other qualities in the availability category all contribute to these things and to overall availability. Let's have a look at these now. First, manageability is just what it sounds like. How manageable is it? Manageability is a function of quality and the extent of instrumentation, telemetry, and logging, monitoring, and visual dashboards, and automation for remedial action that we've stood up. So far, our website provides downloads, and people in remote locations from our central servers are complaining of downloads timing out, and we have no way of knowing when, where, or why. We have low manageability. If instead we move to a platform with a geographically distributed content distribution network that prevents timeouts and a control plane that allows us to see what's happening, we now have higher manageability. Now we turn to serviceability. An entity is serviceable to the extent that in repair, maintenance, or a restocking situation like upgrading a component in production, what to do, where, and how, and so on is readily apprehended and easily reached. How easy is it to service? Well, how simple and standardized is it? How easy and safe is it to access it, disconnect and reconnect, and to handle it? What has been done and designed to mistake-proof these things? That's serviceability. Performance includes things like throughput, a measure of how many units of workload a service can process in a time interval, for example, transaction turnaround time, the time to process a service request or handle an incident, network throughput, and so on. Performance or throughput can be limited by capacity, for example, of storage, compute, or network resources, but it also can be limited by poor configuration. Now we turn to reliability. Things are reliable to the extent that they show an ability to stay online and perform their intended function as committed or agreed, and have a track record for doing so. For human-led offerings, being reliable is about being true to our word, confronting mistakes, making sure that what we do is done right the first time, and ultimately, consistently under-promising and over-delivering. For IT-led offerings, reliability is the extent to which an offering stays up and running. When an entity fails, as when a user can't work, or when a device or a microservice or a professional service goes off track, how hard is it to get back up and running quickly? That's a measure of its recoverability. For IT-led services, this is done through backups, baseline images and snapshots, hardware and software records, redundant failover equipment, and reference records and code through which we can restore a known good state. Recovery requires a restore point, something we can rely on to go back to a known good state. We could use immutable deployment, where all components are vanilla and simply replace rather than repair to restore a known good state. Or we could use a baseline image and then apply a snapshot. However we do it, we must capture points to restore to in a format that allows for restoral in a timely enough manner. Discoverability is the ability of an entity to be located when needed in a dynamic, not a static way, as static mappings create dependencies that quickly break down in a dynamic environment. Discovery is key in service-oriented architecture, where one instance goes away and is replaced by another in a recovery or scaling situation. Services must be locatable when needed, for example, in SOA or in a microservices architecture, or with a REST API or a server that's failed and has been replaced by another with an entirely different GUID. Trustworthiness qualities convey and provide confidence that an entity has the security, integrity, credibility, and compliance necessary for assurance. Practices that contribute to trustworthiness include staff training, securing data, transactions, premises, and equipment, showcasing the competence, credentials, and courtesy of staff by, for example, displaying certifications, endorsements, or publishing videos or articles demonstrating capability. For IT-led offerings, trustworthiness may be found in adherence to the tenets of information security. Think about it. As a consumer, we use many offerings, like haircuts. How can we trust that we'll get what we're paying for, that the results will be satisfactory? If we've been using a provider and offering for a while, well, trust is built by repeated delivery on commitments. In the case of a barber, a long track record of good haircuts. Should staff or other factors change, results might change, and the trust might be broken after a bad result. There is no joy in a bad haircut. If it's the first time we're getting our haircut somewhere, we'll look for evidence that they'll do a good job. How do the people look walking out? How's their hair? If it's not good, we'll move on. We look for evidence of trustworthiness. For example, we might ask a friend for a referral or look at the provider's credentials or online ratings. Now, let's flip this around and ask, for our organization, for our brand and offerings, what proof points exist on their trustworthiness? And how accessible and credible are these proof points to stakeholders? Security includes IT security as well as physical security, like card-keyed access to buildings, security personnel on watch, and security cameras, and so on. For IT-led offerings, security involves preservation of our information's confidentiality and availability. Confidentiality is assurance that it's made available to only those with a right to it, that it's kept private from those who do not have a right to it, that it's protected from unauthorized access. Availability in this context is assurance that the information assets can be accessed by those with a right to them when required. That is, there's no denial of service. Integrity is assurance that the information assets are complete, accurate, and free from unauthorized or unwanted modification. Mitigations and contingencies against malware, viruses, or malicious internal or external attacks can help prevent unauthorized modification by bad actors. But information can also be corrupted through, for example, power or hard interruptions and updates. So we must take measures to prevent corruption through power conditioning and backups, or proper shutdowns and dismounts, hardware, software, and transmission assurance measures, and integrity checks after updates. Credibility is the extent to which there's good faith in the minds of stakeholders that an entity, for example, our organization, its brand, or offerings, can be relied on. The extent to which there's assurance that they really represent what they're supposed to represent, and that there's no intent to misrepresent them. Credibility also comes from evidence that suggests that an entity is knowledgeable, qualified, and capable of meeting its promises. Compliance is the quality of assurance that all applicable standards and regulations and laws are adhered to. Examples include GDPR, HIPAA, PCI, SAS 70, Basel II, FDA regulations, employment laws, and SEC reporting requirements related to data breaches, and so on. Compliance may also apply to governance directives that are opted into. For example, that we will be a certain ISO level of manufacturer, or a 3-star hotel chain, or a Michelin-rated restaurant. Usability means capable of being used. Hard or easy is it to engage with our organization, brand, and offerings? We can choose a one-size-fits-all approach, or we can choose to address a number of needs like supporting multiple languages, or people with low vision or hearing, and so on. Stakeholders can only interact with us if we can handle their unique needs. Ideally, all the interactions stakeholders with positive interests in us have with us are safe, effective, efficient, enjoyable experiences, and not tedious and cumbersome and painful. Ideally, they get their jobs to be done with no fuss or bother, or hurdles to jump through, or runarounds to run. For this to happen, we must make good choices in what usability factors we invest in. One such choice is internationalization and localization, the quality of an entity of being easily adaptable for multiple languages, regions, and cultures, for different currencies, tax structures like VAT, for different data and time zone formats, and for cultural differences, as in avoiding or using colors that have cultural significance. It also includes avoiding local jargon or colloquialisms in written text. Measures to enable internationalization include using Unicode character sets and text labels that can be translated instead of text embedded in graphics, and leaving layout space for various languages. Stakeholders may have a variety of impairments like color blindness, which means they cannot interact with our organization, brand, or offerings well or at all without accommodation. They can do their part to gain access through specialized hardware and software, but we must have the quality of accessibility to support that access. For example, if a person with low vision has a screen reader device and we want to provide them access, we must support the use of such a device by providing, for example, transcripts for videos and text labels behind graphics and buttons. Likability, a quality we seek in our organization, brands, and offerings, includes things like the tangible appearance of physical facilities, equipment, personnel, and communication material. Are these off-putting to stakeholders, or are they pleasant and agreeable? Do people and premises and web properties come across as responsive, empathetic, and attractive, or unresponsive, apathetic, and off-putting? Let's have a look at each of these likability qualities now. The first is responsiveness. For IT-led entities, this is, for example, transaction turnaround time, wait time in the call or live chat queue, and so on. For human-led entities, this is the demonstrated capability and willingness to get back to stakeholders quickly when they make a request, and to listen, respond, and help with prompt service as perceived by stakeholders. Responsiveness for human-led entities comes from hiring the right people in the first place, making sure they're well-trained with the right skills, knowledge, and mindset, and arming them with good tools, processes, and procedures, and by fostering the right service culture. Think of a situation you've had recently. Maybe it was rescheduling a flight with an airline or perhaps working with a bank on an online bank transaction. Do you feel the person on the other end was just going through the motions or really trying to listen and understand your situation and needs? In other words, what's their posture? I'm here to help you with your problem. If so, they had the quality of empathy. Empathy isn't just a human-led quality. Empathy can and should be embedded in our IT systems, first and foremost by designing them with stakeholders' jobs to be done in mind, which helps us to avoid situations like it requires 100 clicks on our website for users to get the one thing that they do all the time done. That's just not empathetic. Think about the last time you were put off by some aspect of the appearance of an offering provider, its facilities, equipment, staff, or materials. Maybe you're in a restaurant that was dirty, messy, cluttered, and the staff was disheveled. These things add up quickly to our going tilt. Now, think of a time when you were super pleased with the appearance of a website. What made it great? To be attractive, we must pay attention to things like physical and online facilities, product and material appearance, layout and organization, staff appearance, dress and hygiene, and so on. Adaptability is the category of qualities that includes interoperability, scalability, portability, of data, people, applications, and components, extensibility, the ability to accept new functionality, and the ability to offer access to offerings in new paradigms, such as moving some service desk functions to chatbots and some IT systems to a microservices architecture. Let's have a look at these qualities now. Entities with the quality of interoperability can be strung together to add more value. That's why modern toolchain components must have not just a UI, but also an API and a command line interface so we can weave them together into one toolchain. Another example, a CRM system may integrate with Hoovers to auto-populate company information. Such interoperability can be achieved through customization or through industry partnerships that create common interfaces, IP, and standards. Scaling can be vertically, up and down, or horizontally, in and out. It's a prominent feature of cloud solutions that make them far superior in this regard to physical, on-premise systems and their limitations of both capacity and scalability. Remember, this applies to brands and your organization and your human-led offerings, not just the technology-led ones. So, for example, if we're an outsourcer of, say, printer support, our prospect may want to know if we can scale to support 5,500 users in 5 states before they take us up on our offer. Scalability and elasticity are not the same, as scalability can be accomplished by simply over-provisioning resources statically. Elasticity is the ability to automatically scale dynamically, up and down and in and out through automation, so that capacity always meets demand where it is. This is accomplished by autoscaling, the process of dynamically allocating resources to match demand to meet performance requirements, a feature of cloud services like AWS and Azure. Can we port our organization, brand, or offering to another environment, another setting, channel, device, or use case? And if so, how hard is it to do? If we're doing business in the U.S., could we replicate our operations in Spain? This is the quality of portability, and it applies to all resources and capability areas, including data, people, applications, and their components. Portable software can be moved from one platform to another, and that includes portable apps, cloud resources, VMs, and containers. Let's say we're an organization that provides service desk services to hospitals as a niche. How hard would it be for us to extend these services to other medical practices? That's the quality of extensibility, our ability to add something new to the system, something that's not more of the same as in scalability. For example, we might extend a CRM system by adding a component that auto-populates Hoover's information into the records for each customer and prospect. If that's easy to do, our system has good extensibility. Here we see some other characteristics of organizations, brands, and offerings. Take a moment to consider each. Can you identify, for each of the characteristics shown here, the choices that have been made for your organization, for your brand, and your offerings?